Hey folks, it's Nick Granville. So I had a plan today to talk about how some strategies to learning a jazz tune. A little different from learning other tunes, partly due to the complex nature of jazz music, but so, some strategies. And then I clicked on YouTube this morning and I saw John Cordy had done one on how to learn jazz tunes. I was like, he beat me to the punch. But anyway, so I'm going to talk about kind of my ideas. And what I've done is I've got this sheet that I've made. This is an old one. I made this. Oh, it's about a battery. Hopefully you can see that. No. Let me change the brightness. I don't know why the brightness went right back up. There we go. Hopefully you can see this. I'm going to put it on my music page. So if you go to facebook.com/Nick Granville Music, and I'll put this up there along with this video so you can check it out. First thing we're going to do is always, I think if you're going to learn a jazz tune, just listen to the tune a heap of times. Get it in your head. Think about it like a nursery rhyme. You can sing those without even thinking about it, right? Because you heard them so many times when you were a kid, and they're imprinted in your mind. And that's the best way to go. A lot of times I see students, people who are learning, whoever, they go straight to the real book. And I don't know that that's overly useful to me. Best thing I find is just listen to it, and then you know it, right? So that's the first thing I'll do. I'll listen to it over and over and over again and get it in my head. Lots of different versions, particularly vocal versions, but I'll talk about that later on. First thing to do, learn the melody, right, in one position. So I'll take Autumn Leaves because that's what I was playing earlier. So if the melody goes... I'm just going to take that much, right? That's the first part of the melody. And I go over that until I really know the whole melody, right? And then do this. The second thing to do is do the same thing, but do it up an octave. Because of the unique nature of the guitar, with that B string being tuned to third rather than a fourth like all the other strings, you can't really picture things up an octave always. It's not like piano where you play something you just move it up an octave. On guitar, that can be a challenge. So I want to know multiple octaves, down an octave, up an octave, wherever I might be able to do it. So that's the second step. Third step, learn the tune another octave again. Fourth step, learn the tune on just one string. Now this is a really useful thing to do. So if I go... Right, there's the first part of the melody, and the second part of the melody. Right, and then the third part goes to an E flat. Well, I don't have an E flat, so I have to go. So I've had to think about where I can play the melody on that particular string, so it doesn't work particularly good. If I try and play it up here, see, I have to bend that note to get the E flat, right? So there's some challenges in that and some things that'll, again, it's about deepening your understanding of the melody. Now, of course, if I play it on this string, oh, it's the major in there. So you get the idea, right? Running along one string will really help you, again, to deepen your understanding of the melody, because guitar's a funny instrument like that. Next thing to do, learn the tune, but learn it while holding a bass line. Now, I'm not trying to play bass and guitar at the same time. I just want to be aware of what those root notes are against my chord, so that when I'm playing the tune, I can hear what they are. Like, for example, I know that's the minor third of C, and it's the flat 7 of the F chord, because it falls against both, right? I know my next note is the major third of the chord, and then the major 7. So it's going third, 7, third, 7, third, 7, and then third with the tune. So a lot of this tune, it's one of the reasons guitar players like it so much, is a lot of the tune is the third of the chord. So if you play on a guitar trio with bass, drums, and guitar, what happens is the bass player plays the root note and you play the melody note. Now we have an implied chord sound, a minor chord. right? I know that's the flattened third, so I know, okay, that's a minor chord. So now I have, just with the root note plus the bass note, I know what the chord type is by hearing it. So I find that really useful to just be able to see where the root note is in relation to the melody. Again, it's always in relation to the melody for me. Next thing to do is to learn a solo version of the melody. Now, we're not trying to play necessarily a solo guitar part, which I'm just trying to voice all of the chords of the melody. So it might be something like right, and I'm just trying to think about a way to kind of find chords that make sense. And you know, you might do one and you might go, okay, well, like that last one I did there, I don't know that I like that chromatic passing so much, so maybe I might go, yeah, the flat 9, so D7 flat 9, basically F sharp diminished chord, works better for me. Right, so that's a good one to go over too, because now you're kind of hearing, you've got something to happen. So say you're playing in a trio, again, bass, drums, guitar, you might decide to fill out the chords a little more while playing the melody, and you can see them underneath the chord, right? So next thing to do is to get to the chord progression. I'll just pull this sheet up. With standard grips. So grips, I mean like these sort of chords. Notice how I did all those steps on the melody before I even got to think about the chords, right? A lot of times guitar players go and they learn the chords and they go, well, I'm never going to play the melody because the sax player in the band's going to play the melody, so they don't bother learning it. To me, that's a real shame. It's like, even if I never play the melody, I want to know how it goes so that I can support it, because that's really what it's all about. When I solo, I want to know the melody so that I can play a decent solo, right? My friend Bruce Foreman has always said, if you don't know the melody, you're not allowed to take a solo. Bit harsh, but I think that's kind of fair, right? Because how are you going to play anything decent if you don't know what you're supposed to be playing over and against? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so anyway, learn standard grips. Just so you've got an awareness and you can hear all that harmony and where it's moving. The next thing to do is to learn the chord progression but without moving. This is a good one. And then do another position. Right? And you'll start to see things about how those chords kind of connect. Again, it gives you more tools when you're in the heat of battle that you can play something decent, hopefully. Next thing to do, learn is basic substitutions. I like doing this. If I think about C minor 7, well, that could be E flat major 7 over C. Right, so now I start to look at things like this. The drop 2 voicing. Right, next chord is F7, so that's like A minor 7 flat 5 over F. Sorry if this is confusing to some people. These are pretty basic kind of substitutions, so I just explore those, right? If you don't know these, then, you know, go and check out the theory side of it online. All this information is around. You can see that's a real pretty way of playing. Those chords again, and you're getting outside of playing the standard grips anymore. So the next step I would do, so that's basic substitutions, learn them as drop 2 chords, then drop 3s and drop 4s, any kind of way I can kind of figure out the chords. And then I try and figure it out with as many pretty colours as possible. For example, if I were to play this chord, which is a C minor 11, I have C, B flat, E flat, F, and D. Doesn't really work, right? The melody is an E flat note. My top note on my chord is a D. We're going to get clash. Now clash can be fine, you know, if you're playing with a soloist and maybe they're not necessarily playing the melody, you know, or referencing it, then you could play that chord. But to me, it's kind of useful to at least know. So I know that chord doesn't really work, but I know this does. right? Because that note is far enough away from the melody, right? Maybe it's a pretty colour chord. Maybe my next chord, I know I'm going to have an E flat, so on the F7, so lots of options. Maybe. Right. There's something cool just straight away. So you see how to doing that. I'm thinking potentially about the melody, but about how I can colour the song up. And the next thing I do is I just go back and listen to a bunch of versions of the songs. I find vocal versions really useful, and John Cordy talked about this in his lesson this morning on YouTube. I find vocal versions really useful, mostly for me because of how to play the rhythm of a melody. If you think about words, they have a certain length. I use this example quite a bit, like the word hot. You don't go hot. It's weird, isn't it? You go hot. There's a certain length that word is, or door. You don't go door. You don't go door. There's a certain way that words are accented and phrased, and that really helps you phrasing on the guitar, I find, especially when it comes to playing melodies. So for me, like, that's a big one, is going and listen to the lyrics and going, okay, well, this note should be short, this note should be long. And often I don't even really think about it that much. I just listen to them and then you absorb. But anyway, I hope that's been useful. My name's Nick Granville. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. The digital tip jar is open at my PayPal if you want to help contribute to allowing me to do this. I do videos every day on YouTube. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and all that kind of stuff. I'll put that sheet, as I mentioned earlier. I'll show you this one. That'll be on my Facebook page if you want to go and get it. So that's Nick Granville Music. So thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate everybody tuning in. So I'll leave you with a little bit of Autumn Leaves, some exploration. Thanks again for watching. Cheers.